April 28, 2020. News is released. The Last of Us 2's campaign has been leaked. As a huge fan of the original, I tried hard as fuck to stay away, as to not ruin anything for myself. My nagging questions for The Last of Us 2 had already been answered with the release of the 2019 trailers. Questions such as if the game was in the works, and if the gameplay and graphics had been improved. However, I open up the YouTube app, as I do on any given day, immediately bombarded with clickbait titles slamming the game. Curious, I click on one trying to gain some context. A blessing disguised as a mistake. Apparently Neil Druckkman, codename Cuckman, not my codename, just following the trend, has been caught with his pants down with Anita Sarkeesian pegging him in the ass, so that in 9 months' time, he can give birth to a genderless, non-binary, unisex baby known as The Last of Us 2. Good job, Neil Druckkman. You're doing God's work. Apparently, a disgruntled Naughty Dog employee, overworked and underpaid, leaked the sequel's narrative and all its amazing propaganda included, at the expense that the original has set up. In pursuit of appeasing the new illegitimate boss, Anita, Cuckman sacrificed his staff to the tune of potential loss in millions. Millions. Sacrifice. What do I mean? This game has 7 to 8 years to come up with a proper continuation. In this time, we saw a massive rise in SJW propaganda and the backlash it garnered from all corners of media, namely film and video games. Cuckman, instead of steering in the opposite direction of the skid, steers into it and car wrecks. Not only is he affected, but cars containing his staff and their families thrust in his direction and end up in a pileup. Cuckman, instead of realizing how he fucked over his staff, gets out of his car and proceeds to kick everyone that's car wrecked in the face. He then goes into labor and delivers a 50-pound baby, 60 if you're here in the States, known as The Last of Us 2. One of the survivors scoops the newborn and as revenge, chucks it into oncoming traffic on the side of the street. Normally, people would stop and help the baby, but it's so grotesque that he just let it splatter all over the windshield and just wipe it off with the windshield wipers and a little application of windshield fluid. Now, I am not attributing the potential failing of this game strictly to the feminist agenda, but like most other narratives portraying SJW ideals, the story is crafted around a statement which leads to the detriment of the narrative. This sequel shifted from a man finding his daughter in an orphan to a revenge story populated by lesbos, a transsexual, and a golf club. He said the L word. Don't judge me yet. I love lesbians, almost as much as straight women do. After the tranny, aka Abby, kills Joel, the characters that assume the main role are nothing but women. Did he just assume their gender? If it has 2 seashells and a clam, it's a woman. Bite me. I know that some people will exclaim that may not be true, but seeing the massive gender swapping evident in the leaks and trailers, I have a feeling that's the case. Simply, to push an all-female cast to the forefront, they had to sacrifice the theme of the original by getting rid of the male protagonist. What better way than poetically beating a white male in the face with an object used in a sport associated with white male privilege? That's some savage shit. May Negan be with you, and also with you. Would you look at that? SJWs get to project their hatred/aggression of the white male by having a tranny bash his head meat in without any reservations, justified by a thin veneer called revenge. How about that? 2 birds, 1 driver. Joining the tranny and the insufferable antagonist, we have a religious sect after them apparently.
To destroy the sanity of another.
To destroy or enslave another's soul.
To destroy or reduce the survival of one's companions or one's group.
And we of the church believe
that the Spirit can descend, and that the Spirit alone makes.
Probably chasing them down for supporting the big gay, blaming their sexual abnormality as a reason for the apocalypse. Honestly, this is the only time I can justify SJW feminist bullshit on homosexual intolerance being an actual thing in abundance. It actually fits within the game's narrative. Otherwise, it's usually a hyperbolic intolerance mirroring that of the early 1960s or 70s depicted in these current times. Anyway, let's fix this narrative from what we're given to work with. To start off, let's keep the Ellie and Joel father-daughter dynamic. Obviously, that means that Joel would have to be in at least half the game. The whole series should remain predicated on these two. It was always about a substitute daughter for a grieving father cohesion. It doesn't need to be center stage. We don't want to copy the first game, beat for beat. The game could touch on other themes such as self-blame, revenge, regret, Self-blame and regret, huh? How can we work that into the story?